Alright everybody, welcome back to another turn of Operation Schultz. This is going to be turn 11 for the British Commonwealth and Free French. Um, a few minor bits of housekeeping. First off, I haven't announced where my new capital is. I was still kind of vaguely hoping for GWE to come back with an official response from Morton. Um, in the absence of that, I'll just go with what the community's been saying. So in that case, I'm going to be putting my new British Commonwealth capital in Cape Town this game, and we'll just let that be good enough. Okay, and then the other bit of housekeeping is the Japanese player 5-star repaired his factory in Siam last turn, but it had its damage incorrectly calculated on my turn previous. I didn't consider that he had improved construction, so there should have been only 1 point of damage on that factory, and consequently only 1 IPP paid to repair it. And he's gonna just keep that other one saved for next turn. Alright, let's just get straight into it. For tech, I'm gonna roll for improved artillery, not radar. And that's a hit. Fantastic. Okay. Exactly what I wanted. Yeah, okay. Now, for buys, I have very little to work with the GB Bank being gone. I'm spending, for Anzac, all 10, 6 on a major factory upgrade, well, a medium factory upgrade to a major factory, and the remaining 4 is going to Lend-Leasing the Soviets a AAA. The FEC is just going to buy 2 Gurkhas and save 1. Alright. For combat movements, there's short number to list. By Calcutta, well, I guess by the Maldive Islands, the seaplane from Delhi is going to map onto that sea zone to try to kill that submarine. Also, the submarine that was in P-14 by Korea is going to P-34 and raiding. 2d6 there. Yeah, okay. Okay. No more combats in the east. Those are all non-combats. Okay. Same non-combats, non-combats, non-combats. Okay, so technically this is a combat move, because the Germans can decide to engage the battleship as it passes. So the battleship from Gibraltar in port is coming out of port into M2, but he starts his movement from M2, so the only way the Italians could actually stop me from doing this is by declaring war before my movement phase. So I start my my movement in M2, and then move 1, 2, 3, and go in port in the south side of Lower Egypt. Okay. No more combats there. No combats. No combats. Okay, then by England we do have some combats. In southern England, both fighters and every land unit is going to attack London. So that's 3 infantry and 1 militia. The seaplane is going to be attacking the German fleet in A23. It's going to be joined by the TBD that was in A11. And also the tactical bomber that was just north of Spain in A28. 1, 2, 3. And then lastly, a number of my fleet elements in A17 can still reach that combat by going west of the TBD. So the battleship and the coastal defense ship can't participate, but the battlecruiser, 2 heavy cruisers, and 2 destroyers can. And then that should be all of the combats declared. I don't think I have anything else anywhere else. Yeah, okay. Let's just start rolling them. I'll do the eastern ones first before I forget them. We'll do convoy rating for Japan. The red die will be my submarine, black will be the defending convoy. And the red die is rolling at a +2 differential. 2 damage. Okay. Alright, moving on. I'll attack the seaplane at a 5 or less. That's a miss. The seaplane will just return back to Delhi. Alright. And then England, I believe, has the last combat. The last 2 combats. Okay. We'll do London itself first. So we'll have 2 fighters, 3 infantry, a militia, and for the Germans, we'll have 3 defending infantry that I'll roll in green. Alright, round 1. Both fighters hit. That's a miss. That's so just the fighters for me. And then for the Germans, he hit 1 infantry. The others miss at 6 and 12. Okay, so both of his infantry are dead, and my militia is dead. Alright, pressing for round 2. Hit on my fighter, miss on his infantry, or on his marine. So London is liberated, and I lost 1 militia to do it. Okay, the fighters are both going to land back in southern England. Okay, moving on to the naval battle. I'll put this one on the battle board. There's a decent number of units here. So there's German, there's the British. Not generally used to using the battle boards. I've been using dice towers for a very long time, but I do like the battle boards. They're pretty cool. The seaplane won't actually roll. It could technically hit the transports after everything else is dead, but after everything else is dead, the battle is over and the transports auto die anyway. So that's all of the die for the Germans. That's 1 coastal defense ship at 6, battle cruiser at 7, 2 destroyers at 4, and a TBD at 2. For the attackers, I have 1 TBD at 2, 2 destroyers at 4, 1 die I'll just pull out to keep track of things, 2 heavy cruisers at 6, 1 battle cruiser at 7, and 1 tactical bomber at a 7 with target select. Okay, let's go ahead and roll our attack for round 1. Let's see, do I have any first strike? No. No target. I do have target select. And he has Also nothing to worry about. Okay, round 1 for the attackers. Miss on my TBD. Hit on one of my destroyers. Hit on both of my heavy cruisers. And a hit on the battle cruisers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which is all of them. Okay, so let's roll in defense. Miss on the TBD. Miss on both of the destroyers. A hit on the coastal defense ship and a hit on the battle cruiser. So I take 2 hits in response. I'm going to take 1 destroyer and the TBD. So remaining in the sea zone is going to be 1 battle cruiser, 2 heavy cruisers, 1 destroyer, and then both of my aircraft get to fly back to England. Oh man. And that is, of course, going to kill his transports as well. The tactical bomber has to land in southern England. It has no other viable land zone without an aircraft carrier. The seaplane is going to be also returning to southern England. Okay, moving on to non-combats. The 4 of the 5 militia that were in northern England are walking into southern England. And that covers everything for the English home islands. By the way, even though London has been reliberated, Cape Town is going to remain my capital for the time being. Just want to make sure that's clear. Okay. For further naval movements in A-17, the battleship and coastal defense ship are both moving 1, 2 into A-28. Alright, from Ottawa, 2 infantry are boarding the naval transport, the Anzac naval transport that was in Nova Scotia. And the group is moving also into A-28, where the 2 infantry will be deposited into Basque Country. Moving on, I'm actually going to do 2 naval, both of the naval transports that started in A-28 are going to be in port in Galicia and Leon instead, which is just a movement of 1. The destroyer from A-28 is moving to A-44. Okay, the battleship and one of the heavy cruisers that were in A-44 are going in port in Gibraltar. Now I reckon we'll deal with Spain. So starting from southern England, I had a British transport plane that I didn't use. It's going to fly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Rio de Oro, where it will pick up a infantry, the British regular infantry that's there, and then fly the remaining 2 that it has, 1, 2, into Western Andalusia. Okay. Also joining him in Western Andalusia is going to be one of the infantry that started in Gibraltar. The infantry that started in Western Andalusia is going to rail to Basque. The two units which started in eastern Andalusia are also going to rail to Basque. That's one mountain brigade and one colonial infantry. And also joining them in Basque is going to be the airborne that started in Catalonia. And both fighters which had started in Galicia Leon. That includes the FEC fighter. They're going to be in Basque Country itself. Okay, we'll deal with the unit recap at the end of all of that, but that should cover, at least for Britain. That's a French non-combat move I have to make. Okay, so in France, or not France, in South Africa, the motorized infantry from South Africa is driving 1-2 into Belgian Congo. An Anzac motor infantry, by the way. The remaining units in South Africa are boarding the FEC naval transport, and then all of the ships that are there, so that's the FEC boarded naval transport and the FEC heavy cruiser, are sailing 1, 2, 3 into the Red Sea, I-5, and everything is disembarking into Lower Egypt. And the ships are all going to go in port, so I'm going to have I'll clean this up before I send the file, but all of these ships are going to be in port. All right, that covers Africa. Okay, in India, the infantry, which was in Maharashtra, is going to rail to Calcutta. The Gurkhas, which were in Bengal, are going to retreat to Benares. That's all for. There's one more FEC movement. The coastal submarine that was in P60 is going to move westward into P59. Okay, and we want to move our fleet elements from Sydney to P70. So that's the Anzac light cruiser and destroyer, and then the two FEC destroyers. I think that is all of my movement for GB, so let's go ahead and place the buys and collect income. The Soviet AAA is going to be going into Primorsky Krai. I just put the FYI. I put these coastal submarines over the roundels. I find that it makes the script in this version of the file work much more reliably. So it's just a zero cost unit that keeps the neutral unit above the roundel by just a little bit, and then it helps the tracker count the thing that I'm building properly. But I'm not actually placing it. Okay. Both Gurkhas are joining the stack in Benares. The Gurkha stack. The AAA, as stated, is going into Primorsky Krai. And then, of course, the major factory is going in Sydney. Alright, that's my place buys complete. Collect income. Okay, so FEC should increase 8 plus 2 to 11. Anzac just goes up to 6. GB collects 30. 27 base plus 3 for holding Suez. Alright, let's move on to Free France. I'm buying a Foreign Legion for the 4 that I had from my bank from last turn. And then I'll be collecting 3 at the end of this turn. For movements, I'm not doing anything in Africa, or in Central Africa. 1 infantry from French Morocco is capturing Spanish Morocco. Just because I can. Um, and that French Morocco is going to be where the Foreign Legion is going to spawn. So that's Africa complete after that. And then the 2 destroyers from A-17 are going to sail down and help keep A-28 safe. That should cover absolutely everything. So let's go ahead and pass off the board to Davvyk. If you need to stick around for a unit recap, feel free to do that. Everyone else can go ahead and check out. Okay, we'll start in Anzac. In Anzac territory, in all of the Anzac territory, all of the units we have are 1 Anzac militia on the South Island of New Zealand, 1 on the north, 1 in Queensland, 3 in New South Wales, joined by 1 infantry, 5 in Sydney, also joined by 1 infantry, but that's a major factory in Sydney now. All the other territory is empty or Japanese. In P70, just hanging around in the sea zone, I have 1 Anzac light cruiser, 1 Anzac destroyer, and 2 FEC destroyers. In P59, I have an FEC coastal sub. In P34, I have a British regular sub. Okay, in India, we have 1 FEC militia in southern India, 13 FEC infantry and 3 FEC militia in Calcutta, 1 militia in Bengal, 7 Gurkhas and 2 colonials in Benares. And then in Delhi, we have 1 Anzac infantry, 2 GB infantry, and a GB seaplane. Alright, in Africa, we have no naval units south of Egypt. Except over by Australia. That's still technically south of Egypt. Okay, in Cape Town, we have 1 seaplane and 1 militia. In Belgian Congo, we have 1 Anzac motor infantry, 1 GB militia, 2 Free French infantry. In Cameroon, we have 1 Free French militia, 1 Free French infantry. In Chad, we have 2 Free French infantry. In French Morocco, we have 2 Foreign Legion, 2 Free French infantry, 2 militia, and then Spanish Morocco has 1 more Free French infantry. Alright, that covers everything in the west, northwest of Africa. By Egypt, we have 1 GB militia in Nubia. In Lower Egypt, we have 8 GB infantry, 1 militia, 1 marine, 1 AAA. And then in port, we have 2 FEC naval transports, 1 FEC heavy cruiser, 1 GB heavy cruiser, and 1 GB battleship. In Transjordan, we have 1 militia, and in Aden, we still have 1 militia. I didn't mention those yet. In M8, I have 1 British submarine. The rest of the Mediterranean is clear. There's still a militia in Malta. But the rest of the Mediterranean is clear. There are no other allied units. Okay, in Spain, Iberia, I guess. I have nothing in Galicia, Leon. Well, I guess I have 2 GB naval transports in port in Galicia, Leon. Nothing in Eastern Andalusia, nothing in Catalonia, nothing in Madrid. Western Andalusia has 1 transport plane and 2 infantry. Gibraltar has 2 infantry, 1 militia. And then also for GB, in port, 1 TBD, 1 heavy cruiser, 1 battleship, and 1 light carrier. And then additionally an FEC light carrier. In Basque Country, I have 5 infantry, 2 colonial infantry, 1 mountain infantry, and 1 airborne. Also 1 artillery and 2 fighters. And that covers that. In Sea Zone A28, I have 1 coastal defense ship, 1 light carrier, an FEC battleship, 2 Free French destroyers, and an Anzac naval transport. Okay. Moving north, I have nothing west of England. So nothing in Ireland, nothing in the sea zones, nothing in Canada. For GB or Free France, at least. Okay, in the English home islands, I have 1 militia in northern England, 4 militia in southern England, 3 infantry in London. Also in southern England, I have a tactical bomber, 2 fighters, and a seaplane. And then in A23, I have a battle cruiser, 2 heavy cruisers, and a destroyer. And that should cover everything. Nothing in Poland, nothing in Yugo. Alright, I should be ready to pass the board off to Davvyk for his next Italian turn, and best of luck.